Brian, thank you for coming in.
Thank you. I'm glad to see we're still in the same place. We haven't moved.
I haven't moved, but you also haven't moved because you're still running Long4life. Give us those 12 months. The first ones are, well, it's your second time taking a company on the stock exchange. The first 12 months for this one at least.
Look, I mean, we're very happy. I mean, it's not a perfect set of results, but, coming from a standing start, 3.6 billion of turnover, 600 million of commercial EBITDA, as I call it. So, we've got a reasonable platform to start to work from.
Yeah. And when you look over the 12 months, what were the key features, silent features for you?
Well, I mean, I think that the retail business grew in a very poor economic climate, which I think was very good.
Yeah.
I think we had some market share gains in the beverage business, and if I can use Fitch and Lee's, I can get a punt. So that's done particularly well.
Yeah.
And in the beauty space, I think we generally have got some big opportunities, up 74%.
So that's
Sorbet, which is included in that.
Yeah.
So I think that all three divisions performed admirably, given the circumstance. But as I said, it's not perfect. Asset management's not the best it could be.
Yeah.
Our returns are not as good as maybe they should be. But generally speaking, where we are is good.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you about, because obviously these are your first set of results for the full year on the stock exchange. You'd have targets rather than comparative figures. Did you meet all of your targets?
No, I don't think we did. I think that we didn't meet the acquisition targets that we would have liked to have done. We are obviously at this point in time underinvested. We got $1 billion in the bank, so our returns are negatively impacted by that.
Sure.
I think also asset management, as I'm repeating myself now a little bit, I think is not as good as it could have been. But generally speaking, given where we are in the climate and whatever, not too bad.
Why were you underinvested? Were you unable to find what you wanted?
It's quite difficult to find what we're looking for. We don't want to have a whole plethora of small acquisitions. So we're looking for something which is reasonably bulky, where we can add value, where it fits the profile in which we're looking. And so we haven't really found what we're looking for.
Yeah. And when you look across the board in terms of where you're looking at, I mean, you're talking your beverages, you're talking your beauty and healthcare products, sport and recreation. Where is it more difficult to find the kind of opportunities that you'd like to see?
Well, we're looking in the leisure lifestyle space more generally than the one specific that you're talking about.
Okay.
So we haven't really found exactly what we're looking for, but we're opportunistic. If it's not exactly in those fields, maybe we'll have a go at it as well.
How is that environment this year when you look back compared to last year? Anything improved? Anything changed?
Know where you're going. Look, I think the environment is pretty much as it was. I think there are some green shoots that are starting to manifest themselves. Yeah. So I think that certainly I think South Africans should be more optimistic about where we're at now versus where we were last year. Yeah.
So you listened to Cyril Ramaphosa. I don't know if you went to the Goldman Sachs conference this morning.
No, unfortunately I had to present my results.
Today you had to come back.
And I probably wouldn't have been invited anyway.
You may well have been invited. I'm sure they could use your wisdom. But certainly the president is sending out the message that we are fixing things and it will take a little bit of time and we need the support of the private sector. We are looking at Eskom. Eskom is too big to fail, etc. But we're going to be looking into these things and trying to make sure that we bring in the private sector and we fix these things. Your general sense now, you've had another year in which to assess Cyril Ramaphosa at work.
Look, Cyril's a very competent man. I mean, I've known him for a year. Yeah. I think he's very competent. I think the general message that government is an enabler and that the fertile soil will be created for the private sector to operate in, I think that's a good message, and we as South Africans need to respond to that. Yeah. And I suppose the institutions, South African institutions, need to put more money behind South Africa.
And the elections, you voted, right?
I did.
You did? The elections last week. What did you make of them in general? Do you still have your ink?
I still have your ink. Yeah, also, this I see my previous company didn't fail in my case.
Oh, Brian.
Look, I think the elections, well, for me, I think the result is a good result by and large. I think that the ANC's got a mandate now. I think Cyril's got a mandate, and so from my point of view, it's now action, not rather than all the excuses of the past.
Yeah. What kind of mandate do you think he got? How strong a mandate do you think you got?
A mandate's a mandate. The mandate is what you make of it. I mean, 57% is not a bad number.
Sure.
I think,
but it's down 5 percentage points from the last number.
Well, it's up and down. The world is up and down. I think as long as he's got the opportunity to do what he wants to do, and I think so far, the noises that have come out for me are good. Smaller cabinet, attention to some of the issues, creating fertile soil, encouraging South Africans to do their bit. My only encouragement is that some of the hard political calls that need to be made in order to fix the economics, maybe he should do that, and those are tough.
What are those hard fixes?
Oh, you shouldn't ask that question. That's not for me. I'll get into trouble.
Help me with some of them at least.
No, I just think that in order for South Africa to grow, everybody needs to be a beneficiary. I don't think it's taking from one to give to another.
Right.
So we need to all band together to create growth, and I think the most important thing is to create jobs. I think 27% unemployment is a huge number. Absolutely.
Are you calling for an end to BEE transformation?
No, not at all. I think transformation is critical.
Right.
I don't think you can have a growth in South Africa without transformation. I think that's absolutely core to what we need to do.
Yeah.
But, maybe a tax cut.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. Where have you been? Yesterday, I almost was like a madman here, because I kept asking the economists that were coming through here if perhaps the president, as part of giving the economy a shock, could cut corporate tax to maybe 20% or something like that.
Well, I don't know if they can do that much, but for me, I think the issue at the end of the day is we need to create local confidence.
Yeah.
And in my mind, we need to have South Africa insider confidence. We need to have South Africans with confidence before we'll have foreign investment. And I think the concentration on foreign investment is the secondary thing.
Yeah.
First thing is let's get all South Africans on side.
In your mind, if you were to, what would you need to do in order to create that confidence? Maybe, I don't know if there's a single thing. I mean, maybe I'm looking for short-term solutions here, but I'm looking for something that would help give that shot of confidence that we're saying the economy badly needs.
I think that maybe one or two short-term projects would help. If we could have some short-term successful gains, that would help. I think some macro decisions such as a tax cut, which I think is not going to happen, but anyway, we can talk about it.
What would the tax cut do, though, do you think? Because the economists will tell you that you're just making the country more indebted, and then you're going to struggle financing the social grants and all that.
Well, I mean, that's their perspective on life. I mean, that may well be the short-term outcome.
Yeah.
I think the most important short-term objective is to create more jobs and more investment. And I think a tax cut would do that. I think more people would invest in South Africa if the regulation, I think regulatory issues, I think capital gains tax, I think needs to be revisited in my view.
Yeah.
And listen.
Sure.
Yeah. They're not going to listen to me anyway.
There we go. No. Maybe we put it out there. Who knows what he's going to listen to, what he's not going to listen. He sounds like a man who thinks into things, and therefore, hopefully,
as I say, he's very competent and he's a very shrewd man.
Absolutely. If you were to give him some more free advice, let's continue giving him some more free advice.
Free advice is only if he gives a tax cut.
I will tell him that. What would you advise him ahead of appointing that cabinet that everybody is looking at? Today, when he was at the Goldman Sachs conference, he said he needs to redesign the cabinet. Obviously, we will read all sorts of things into that statement, but just give him some free advice.
Appoint people on merit.
Right. That's it?
That's it.
You done?
Yeah.
I was going to suggest taking people from the opposition benches. Would that help?
I think you appoint people on merit. It doesn't matter where they come from. If the objective is to do the best for South Africa, let's put the people that deserve to be there on merit. Yeah. I know the politics come into this matter, but within the ANC fold, there are definitely a lot of people with competence. Let's put them first.
Yeah, and in terms of the key portfolios, I mean, we were talking yesterday with an analyst, we were talking about the clusters. So your economic cluster, your social cluster, your security clusters, etc. Let's talk to the one that affects business, the economic clusters. What would you give him? What would you say to him?
I don't need to teach him. He knows better than me. I don't want to get involved in more politics. I think, as I said, for me, I think the big issue is the confidence factor.
Yeah.
And I think that for me is government is not going to create growth.
Yeah.
That's for sure in my mind.
Yeah.
I think government can only provide the opportunity for the private sector to create growth in whatever segments, and it's a complicated political scenario, but we need to be brave, and us South Africans need to be able to follow.
Yeah. Would Tito help bring confidence back or restore confidence? Would he be a good addition to the team?
Yeah, look, he hasn't done anything wrong as far as I'm concerned. I've known him for some years. I think he's a very competent man.
And Joffe, thank you for coming in today.
Thank you.
Brian Joffe is the CEO of Long4life.